Good morning, India, and happy Holi to all our viewers as well. But like we have been constantly reminding you, don't do what they're doing over there. It is a happy day, but follow COVID protocols. The pandemic has not gone anywhere. So keep that in mind when you get together today and ensure that you have your mask on, maintain social distancing again. Don't do what's happening over there. And why? Because the headlines are telling us so. Let's dip into that now. Prepare for lockdown. COVID rules not being followed, says the Maharashtra Chief Minister, as Mumbai records nearly 7,000 new COVID cases in a day. Maharashtra records its highest ever single-day spike. Chief Minister says the state may also face a healthcare crisis and see a shortage in infrastructure for treating COVID-19 patients. From Maharashtra to Delhi, the story is the same. Over 1,800 COVID cases in the past 24 hours. Highest daily cases in the national capital since 13th December. Meanwhile, politics in Maharashtra also picking up. Is there an alliance trouble in the state? Speculation over NCP chief Sharad Pawar is reported to have met the union minister and senior BJP leader Amit Shah in Ahmedabad. Amidst intense poll campaigning, look at these sights and sounds of the colourful Assam campaign. Top leaders of BJP and Congress break a leg. It is the dance of democracy. Centre's Delhi bill becomes a law now. The bill seen as a huge setback to Arvind Kejriwal government or any future government in the capital, which has been sparring with the Lieutenant Governor since it came to power. And it is Holi in the times of COVID and in the times of a pandemic. Our appeal to all of you, stay home and stay safe. And why are we constantly underlining that stay home, stay safe, do not indulge this Holi? Well, because over 40,000 cases have been reported in Maharashtra alone in the last 24 hours, which is the highest number of daily cases till date. Even Mumbai has reported the highest ever number of daily cases so far, and that's a whopping 6,900 and counting cases. 8 deaths have been reported in the past 24 hours as well. The cases in Maharashtra have been spiraling upwards in the last few days, due to which the Chief Minister Uddhav Thackeray has said and asked the officials to prepare for another lockdown as the corona protocol is not being strictly adhered to. The meet was also attended by the Health Minister, Chief Secretary, other senior officials, and the Chief Minister warned that the death toll may increase and also expressed concern that there may be shortage of medical facilities due to growing number of infections. Instructions have also been given for ban on entry of general public in the Ministry of Government offices, and also meanwhile night curfew has been kicked in Maharashtra. The state government has announced a ban on all types of gathering whatsoever, and it has also ordered restaurants, gardens and malls to remain shut between 8 p.m. to 7 a.m. People will also not be allowed to visit beaches at all during 8 p.m. and 7 a.m. All this is happening when over, like I said, 40,000 cases in just one day.
There definitely has been acceptance. In fact, the mall has been closed, people have left, restaurants are shut, and most people have gone home. That's what it is at this point, and the Chief Minister is already talking about lockdown-like restrictions, and that's because the cases are still continuing to rise, with a record rise even today. Over 6,000 cases in Mumbai. So obviously this is something that is going to be a worry for the administration in Maharashtra. The situation is not great here, and that's something that the administration is keeping a close eye on. In fact, they are, in the meeting that was held between the Health Minister, the Chief Minister and other top authorities of the state, what seems to have been decided is that the administration has been told to prepare for lockdown-like restrictions. What does that mean? Sources are telling us that transport is one thing that they're not going to touch. They're going to keep transport functioning, but shops, offices, is something that they're going to ask people to keep shut for a while perhaps, if at all those restrictions come into force. Now this is something that perhaps will be decided after the 2nd of April. The government will meet and that is something that will be clear then. But obviously the situation is grim, it's worrying, the number of cases that have been going up, and while health experts have blamed it on a double mutant COVID strain, the fact really is that whatever the strain may be, the numbers are definitely something that are really worrying, and what the administration fears is that it could put an added burden on the healthcare system, which has recovered from the first wave, and that's why they're preparing so that that situation doesn't arise.
From the financial capital to the national capital, Delhi reported over 1,800 coronavirus cases in the past 24 hours. This is the highest in about 3.5 months, while the positivity rate also went up to about 2.35%. The health department made those figures public. 9 more people died due to the disease, taking the total number of people's lives lost in the capital to the virus so far in over a year, over 11,000. All right, away from the COVID numbers to the battleground states, let's talk about Assam first, where the first phase is over. And amidst an intense poll campaign looking ahead at phase 2, which will be held on the 1st of April, look at these sights and sounds of a very colourful Assam campaign, where the top leaders of BJP and the Congress break a leg. Enjoy this dance of democracy.
दादा ये बताइए कि ये जो चंद्रगुप्त है, ये जो चाणक्य है, चाणक्य जो है वो चंद्रगुप्त कब बनेगा?
उससे आपका क्या टेंशन है? वो टेंशन मेरा पार्टी को लेने दीजिए।
आप कांग्रेस पार्टी में थे, हमने देखा वहाँ भी आला कमान ने अरंगा लगाया, यहाँ भी आला कमान।
बात इतना सीमित नहीं होता है। आसाम का लोगों से मेरा जो लगाव है वो बहुत ऊंचा है। वो कोई लोग आप यहाँ 2 दिन रुकिए तब समझ सकेगा।
लेकिन हमने देखा है,
हमारा टेंशन नहीं है ना, वो हमारा लोगों से प्यार से मतलब है।
अगर सरकार बनेगी, मुख्यमंत्री कौन होगा?
वो मोदी जी पार्लियामेंट्री बोर्ड निर्णय करेगा, उसमें हमको क्यों तकलीफ है? हमारा क्या चिंता है?
हमने देखा कि जब भी आलाकमान डिसाइड करता है तो हेमंत शर्मा को इनजस्टिस होता है।
वो देखिए, उसमें मेरा टेंशन नहीं है। मेरा टेंशन है लोग मुझको क्या खराब पा रहा है। अगर लोग मुझको ऐसा प्यार देता है तो मेरा कोई टेंशन नहीं है, मेरा लोगों से संबंध है।
हम घूम रहे थे, 2 चीज देखा, एक टी ट्राइब्स में देखा पैसे का मुद्दा, उनका वेजेस का मुद्दा।
कुछ नहीं हुआ, सारे लोग हमको वोट डाल दिया, सारा लोग हमको दिल खोल के वोट डाला।
बोला मोदी जी ने बोला था एसटी का स्टेटस।
आप वो सब टेंशन मत लेना, लोगों के बीच में हम लोग हैं, सब जानता है कि हम लोग जो करना है करूंगा। हमारा ऊपर बहुत विश्वास है लोगों
को। असम के राजनीति में 15 साल में हमने 2 चीज देखा है, एक हेमंतो भी शर्मा जिधर रहा और एक हगरामा जिधर रहा, सरकार उसी का बना।
वो नहीं है, वो बात ऐसा है। अभी हगरामा को हमने चुनाव में हरवा दिया, खुद का सीट वो हार गया, खुद का सीट वो हारा। सो किसी को ओवररेट नहीं करना चाहिए। जो आदमी खुद का सीट पकड़ के नहीं रख सकता वो क्या लोगों को जिताएगा?
All right, strong words over there. Also in Assam, a prominent Bodoland leader, in fact, the chief of the Bodoland People's Front, said that the key, he is said to be the key kingmaker in the state, who until last election had aligned with the BJP. But this time around, he switched sides to the Congress. Why exactly? Hear from him.
ये कहा जाता है जैसे रामविलास पासवान जी थे, मौसम वैज्ञानिक थे। असम की राजनीति में मौसम वैज्ञानिक आपको माना जाता है?
हाँ, उसको तो मानना ही पड़ेगा। अभी हम कांग्रेस के साथ आ गया, कांग्रेस का महाजोत सरकार बनेंगे। उसके आगे 2016 में मैंने बीजेपी से अलायंस किया था, इसीलिए बीजेपी ने सरकार में आया। उसका आगे 2 बार कांग्रेस से हमने।
आपने बीजेपी का साथ या बीजेपी ने आपको डंप क्यों किया?
बीजेपी ने हमको डंप किया ऐसे, ये तो हेमंत बिश्व शर्मा का है, वो दूसरा का बात नहीं। हेमंत बिश्व शर्मा ने हमसे लड़ाई किया। एक नेडा मीटिंग में मैंने कहा था कि नेक्स्ट चीफ मिनिस्टर बीजेपी का सर्बानंद सोनोवाल जी बनेंगे और सरकार भी बीजेपी का ही आएंगे, ऐसा बोला था। उसको हेमंत बिश्व शर्मा जी ने खराब पाया मेरे को। उसी दिन से हेमंत बिश्व शर्मा ने मेरा अगेंस्ट में पूरा।
तो हेमंत तो आज भी आपके एरिया में घूम रहे हैं।
हेमंत आने में यहाँ में बीटीसी का बात अलग है। हेमंत जी का बीटीसी में बात नहीं चलेगा, बीटीसी में हमारा बीपीएफ बात ही चलेगा।
ये बताइए कि आप क्या वापस अगर हंग होता है तो वापस आप फिर बीजेपी के साथ जा सकते हैं?
हंग होने वाला कोई प्रश्न नहीं है, हंग नहीं होगा। एब्सोल्यूट मेजोरिटी हमारा महाजोत, कांग्रेस का नेतृत्व में महाजोत आराम से आएगा।
ये कहते हैं मोदी जी का फोन आएगा, अमित शाह का फोन आएगा।
नहीं, मोदी जी का फोन क्यों पकड़ेगा मैं, अमित शाह का फोन क्यों पकड़ेगा? हमको जितना लात मारा बीटीसी निर्वाचन में हमको क्या किया? असम में जितना भी आरएसएस है, जितना भी बीजेपी है, जितना भी कैबिनेट मिनिस्टर है, बीटीसी में हमको क्या धोखा दिया?
And let's talk about the second phase of polling in Assam in a bit more detail now. Like I said, elections will be held for the second phase on the 1st of April. 39 seats would go to polls. And in key areas like Barak Valley region and Middle Assam, it is expected to be an intense political battle between the Congress-led Mahajot and the BJP, and one person who has almost become the face of the Congress campaign this time around after his father, of course, is the MP Gaurav Gogoi. In an exclusive chat earlier, he told NDTV and reveals how difficult this election has been after the demise of his father, former Chief Minister Tarun Gogoi, and the Congress Mahajot strategy for the second and the third phase. He also broke into a dance.
In this phase, you have constituencies where, lakhs of people who have been left out of NRC, their NRC process is stuck in limbo. And now, in fact, there is a letter from the RGI to the state government saying that, well, your funds were given till 31st March and you have to wind up the work. BJP says in its manifesto that there is a corrected NRC which is going to come.
For the last 2 years, for all those citizens who are stranded, facing a bleak future, facing an uncertain future, what has the BJP done? Nothing but engage in rhetoric, and they gave this hope of a new NRC, and now that myth has been busted by this letter of the Registrar General of India, which says that there's not going to be any new NRC. You take what you have and you try to correct it, which is what the Congress Party has been saying all along. We are a party of governance. We know how government works, so we know how legislation works, and that's what we've been saying all this while. We've been saying we'll take the existing NRC, we'll give time and legal aid to all those people who are excluded but are unable to because of their lack of legal education, are unable to, provide certain documents. We'll help them, those Bengali citizens, we'll help those Gorkha origin people, to get through this very complicated bureaucratic procedure and then ensure that we have a genuine NRC where Indian citizens are part of it and all those who have illegally entered India are excluded from it.
But would you like that also to remain as a Supreme Court monitored process? Because what the BJP always says that it is a Supreme Court monitored process. The state government has already helped with logistics, so it didn't have much say into the present NRC.
So the BJP has completely, politicized the NRC. When it suited their politics, they were happy to say that it was Supreme Court monitored probe, that they had nothing to do with it. When it didn't suit their politics, then they blamed the Supreme Court. They entered a state petition, petition from the state government saying that no, they don't accept this NRC.
With that, we're going to slip into a break. On the other side, is Delhi's future changing forever? We'll tell you. Welcome back. And more drama emerging in Maharashtra politics after reports of a secret meeting between Amit Shah and Sharad Pawar have come out. While Amit Shah says cryptic comments fueled speculation, the NCP denied the meeting altogether. But all this happened as rumours are ripe. And remember, the meeting was in Ahmedabad.
अमित सर, आप कल अहमदाबाद में थे. कुछ ऐसी रिपोर्ट्स आ रही हैं कि शरद पवार जी और प्रफुल्ल पटेल जी दोनों
सब चीजें सार्वजनिक नहीं होती है.
Amit Shah's cryptic remark when asked about a secret meeting with Sharad Pawar in Ahmedabad. neither denying or confirming the meeting, but setting off massive speculation in political circles. The NCP chief is the architect of the Maharashtra Vikas Aghadi in Maharashtra, and there have been reports of friction between the Shiv Sena and the NCP over the last few days. Both allies have denied reports of friction, calling it a BJP ploy to destabilize the government. The NCP has denied that a meeting took place.
गुजरात के एक अखबार भास्कर में जिस तरह से खबर छापी गई कि पवार साहब प्रफुल्ल पटेल अमित शाह से मिले, हमें लगता है 2 दिन से ट्विटर पे अफवाहें फैलाई जा रही थी। ये मात्र अफवाह है, इस तरह की कोई भी मुलाकात नहीं हुई।
Well, I am only talking today of the Mahavikas Aghadi government, which has been formed with the initiative of Shri Sharad Pawar. We are all aware that it was impossible to form a government. It was only and only due to Shri Sharad Pawar ji that such a government could be formed there. As far as the government is concerned, the MVA government is absolutely stable under the leadership of Shri Uddhav Thackeray.
The Shiv Sena this morning in its mouthpiece seems to be hardening its stand against Anil Deshmukh, while criticizing the government for not doing enough to defend against these attacks. In a column in the Samna, party MP and spokesperson Sanjay Raut wrote, Deshmukh got the Home Minister's post by accident after Jayant Patil and Dilip Valse Patil had refused it, and it is only then that Sharad Pawar handed over this post to Deshmukh. The piece also said, no individual can function as the Maharashtra Home Minister remaining close to dubious characters. If a junior officer like Sachin Vaze was running a money collection racket from the Mumbai Police Commissioner's office, why was the Home Minister not aware of it?
अनिल देशमुख जी 5 बार विधायक चुने गए, 18 साल वो राज्य मंत्री और मंत्री पद पे रहे और पवार साहब ने सोच समझ के उन्हें जिम्मेदारी दी। वो एक्सीडेंटल गृह मंत्री नहीं है।
Meanwhile, Anil Deshmukh says there will be a probe by a retired judge into the allegations against him made by former Police Commissioner Paramveer Singh.
माननीय मुख्यमंत्री महोदय ने और राज्य शासन ने इस आरोपों की जांच रिटायर्ड हाईकोर्ट जज के द्वारा करने का निर्णय लिया है।
The allies within the Maharashtra Vikas Aghadi are set to meet again in the coming week to ensure better coordination as they rule out a threat to the government. With Saurav Gupta in Mumbai, Sarah Jacob, NDTV.
Let's switch tracks to the national capital now, where the President has given his assent to the government of National Capital Territory of Delhi, or the NCT Bill, amendment bill that the Amit Shah is to notify the date on which the act will come into force, less than 10 days after it was introduced in Lok Sabha. Now, what does this bill really do? This bill essentially takes away all powers from the Delhi government, the Delhi cabinet and the Delhi Vidhan Sabha altogether, and the final word on all executive powers passed on by the Delhi government will now land in the hands of the Lieutenant Governor. This bill is a huge setback to the Aam Aadmi Party, but also to all the future Delhi governments as well. It's Holi. We're all waiting to really get out of this pandemic year. But remember, it's not gone yet. The virus is only sort of reproducing really quickly, spreading even faster. And 40,000 cases have been reported in Maharashtra alone in the last 24 hours, which is the highest number of daily cases till date. Even Mumbai has reported the highest ever number of daily COVID cases. So far, it's gone to almost 6,900. And in the last 24 hours, 8 lives were lost. The cases in Maharashtra have been spiralling upwards in the last few days, due to which the Chief Minister Uddhav Thackeray asked all the officials to prepare for another lockdown, as people are clearly not following any COVID protocol. Let's go across to Purva Chitnis now, joining us with the very latest. Purva, good morning. Happy Holi to you. But just give us a sense of how this Holi in pandemic is really looking like in Maharashtra. Are people any serious about the precautions that really are the need of the hour?
Well, a good morning and a happy Holi to you as well as all our viewers. As far as the pandemic is concerned, well, the situation is grim, because every day we are seeing the numbers are rising and rising and rising. Yesterday, about 40,000 odd cases came in Maharashtra. That is the highest. Every day we've been saying that today is the highest single day spike. Today is the single day highest spike. But now, actually 40,000 cases in Maharashtra and nearly 7,000 cases in Mumbai alone. So that tells a story there that the numbers are rising. The situation is grim. And the Chief Minister, in an emergency meeting with the district officials and the task force doctors, has said that lockdown preparation needs to be there. In fact, he's asked the Chief Secretary to, in fact, prepare a lockdown SOP as well, because he's seen that people are not completely adhering to the protocols. Private offices are also not following the 50% staff rule. That is there. Then people are going out in gardens and beaches and all the public places. In fact, there is a night curfew that is also in place since, in fact, yesterday. But in fact, if the numbers don't go down, then a lockdown is something that is inevitable, according to the government. And also the concern is that the deaths, in fact, the last 1 month that we've been talking about, the numbers are going up, but the fatality rate was low. But now it seems that, with the number of cases and people going to the hospitals, and the large number of people going to the hospital, that in fact has put stress on the hospital administration as well. The people are not getting beds. There is a problem with the oxygen and ventilators as well. So that is something that the Chief Minister has asked the administration to ramp up expeditiously. In fact, that is on a priority basis, that the oxygen beds and ventilator beds need to be ramped up as well. So that is something, a story there where the Chief Minister is also taking seriously that people are not adhering to the protocols. There is still overcrowding in a lot of places, and now a lockdown is something that was a last option which was available, but that is something that the government is now really thinking seriously, that a lockdown is something that needs to be also in place, and the SOPs are to be prepared by the government. But yes, right now there is night curfew in place in Maharashtra till 15th of April, but in the next 1 week or so, if the numbers don't go down, and the sources tell us that the lockdown announcement can come up most likely by next week as well.
So lockdown expected to continue over there, and if it does not, the numbers are not caught in a grip, there will be stricter curbs that will be put into place. That's the indication, at least, that we are getting. The Chief Minister being forced to use the word lockdown one more time. And from the financial capital to the national capital now, where also the numbers are constantly surging. In fact, there was a time when we were down to almost 100. Well, guess where we are right now? Almost 1,800 daily cases are being reported, taking the total tally at the moment to over 6,59,000 cases. And this is now exceeded. This is around the same time in December, when we had roughly about 7,000 cases. And the positivity rate, that's also standing high at 2.35%. Akshay now joins us for more. Akshay, good morning. Happy Holi to you. And perhaps a lot of us working on this Holi are thinking about colors, but a lot of people at home also advise not to get together. Could you take us through what exactly are the curbs in place in the national capital? What is it that the experts in the government have urged people to do?
Well, good morning and happy Holi to you, to Sonal, and to all of our viewers. First of all, let's talk about Holi, and let's talk about the festivities and how it can help as far as COVID-19 is concerned, because the experts, the healthcare workers, the government has been saying that there will be a lot of festivals coming, and now there will be Holi, Shab-e-Barat, there will be Easter, Eid al-Fitr and Bihu as well. So on all of these festivals, there is tendency of people to go out of their homes, take part in social gatherings, and that will be a very conducive environment for COVID-19 virus, and it can spread among the people. As far as the situation in the national capital is concerned, you have rightly mentioned, Sonal, that there have been numbers have been going up in the last 24 hours. The cases have been above 1,800. The positivity rate has gone above 2%, and that is very, very high considering the number of tests that are happening in the national capital, which is around 80,000 every day. As far as the plateauing is concerned, there was a plateauing the day before yesterday when the cases were around 1,500 every day, but now it has again started to rise. Though the government says that the death rate is below 1% and that is the only respite that the people have, but the government has also urged people to not come out of their homes, not take part in social gathering, not as far as the festivities are concerned, they have to stay at home, and that is the only way to break the chain of transmission as far as COVID-19 is concerned, because even though the situation in the national capital is not as bad as it is in Mumbai or other places, but it can go out of hand anytime, because last year, from experience, the government is stating that how the cases went out of control. The national capital was reporting even higher cases than Maharashtra, all of that state. So the situation can get out of hand, and experts claim that the general population is concerned, 75% of people still do not have antibodies. Also, there was a survey, Sonal, as far as the entire country is concerned. It was conducted by the Health Ministry, which stated that though 90% of the people are aware of mask, its usage and benefits, it's only 44% people that actually wears them. So that's very, very concerning as far as healthcare workers are concerned.
That
and another point that's very important. It's only 46 districts across the country.
Matter of huge concern. Understand that. Akshay, thanks for joining us for the very latest. We'll keep coming back to you to get a sense of how exactly the streets of Delhi are looking today. So we'll come back to Akshay when we have more on that. For the moment, Holi rules seeing absolute gone in the wind, really. All norms being violated and flouted, at least where UP is concerned. Of course, the festival cheer has been dampened by the rising COVID-19 cases, but we all need to do our bit, not what you're seeing on those visuals right now, as the pandemic is pretty much not over. Social distancing masks had to be put in place, but in many parts of the country, especially in UP, we see that all gone in the wind. Moving on now, Tamil Nadu Chief Minister EPS on Sunday turned emotional during his campaign as he spoke about comments in poor taste made by DMK MP and former Telecom Minister A. Raja on his mother and his birth. Citing Raja's speech, he also raised the issue of women's safety if DMK came to power. While Raja's comments have gone viral, DMK Chief M.K. Stalin has asked his party cadre to refrain from making any indecent comments hereafter. Raja claims he had made a political statement with no intention of hurting the Chief Minister. He claims his speech has been tampered with. This is what EPS had said soon after.
என் தாய் நான் பார்க்கல, உங்க குடும்பத்தில் ஒரு தாயா பாரு, குடும்பத்தில் ஒரு தாயா பார்க்க எவ்வளவு கீழ்த்தரமா பேசிருக்க, எவ்வளவு கீழ்த்தரமா பேசிருக்க என்பதை எண்ணிப்பார். ஒரு சாதாரண மனிதன் முதலமைச்சராக இருந்தா என்னென்னலாம் பேசுவோம் என்பதை எண்ணி பார்க்க வேண்டும். இன்னைக்கு ஒரு முதலமைச்சருக்கே இப்படிப்பட்ட நிலைமை என்றால் உங்களை போல் இருக்கின்ற மக்களுக்கு யார் பாதுகாப்பு கொடுப்பது? இதெல்லாம் ஆட்சிக்கு அதிகாரத்துக்கு வந்தால் இந்த பெண்ணுடைய நிலைமை என்ன ஆகுது, தாய்மாருடைய நிலை என்னவாகுது சிந்தித்து பாருங்க. தயவு செய்து அல்வது எனக்காக நான் கேட்கவில்லை.
Umar Sudeep joins us now for the very latest. Umar, good morning. Happy Holi to you. Could you just take our viewers also to what exactly were the comments of A. Raja that got EPS so upset?
Sonal, good morning. Very happy Holi to you as well. Hyderabad does celebrate Holi, but today things looking a little calm. I'm, of course, talking about Tamil Nadu right now. And yes, A. Raja made these comments. One, of course, comparing him to Mr. Stalin and saying that what kind of a comparison is that? And he spoke about EPS having come from very humble beginnings. And much more important than that, he spoke about the fact that, Stalin had come gradually through the process of raising through the party lines and also administration, and said that that was something that he called as a full-term delivery, whereas he seemed to suggest that EPS had made some kind of a lateral entry, but the kind of words and language that he used made it seem like there was something not so right with the way EPS had come about, and that seemed a direct reference to his mother, and that's the reason why E. Palaniswamy has now been talking about coming from, actually he's reiterating the kind of a thread that he has used all through this election, saying that he's a very humble farmer, has risen up from a very, very humble family, very ordinary family, and become the chief minister, and someone like him who came from that kind of a background is being targeted by a DMK, by Raja, all of who he in fact made allegations of corruption as well, and the fact that they are born with a silver spoon. And he's asking people that if someone like me, who is now sitting in the chief minister's chair just because I came from humble background, is being targeted like this, what happens to women's safety and what happens to women themselves? Now, the background is this, Sonal. Between the AIADMK and the DMK in the last elections, we had less than 2% of a vote change. Last time, the understanding was that more than 50% of the women had voted for Jayalalitha's AIADMK. Now, Jayalalitha is no longer there. Where will the women's vote go? That's a big question. Whether it will go to an MNM, Kamala Hassan, or to any of the other parties, or will the DMK be able to draw that women's vote towards itself, was the big question. And that's one reason why we saw the AIADMK as well as the DMK targeting housewives. Whether it started with, Kamala Hassan giving the package to the housewives, talking about an allowance to housewives, valuing the work that they do. Subsequently, we saw AIADMK and DMK both saying we are going to give monthly allowance 1,500 or 1,000, and we are going to give gas cylinders. We are going to give a free washing machine, Amma washing machine, promised by the AIADMK. It is in this context that the AIADMK wants to allege or paint the DMK as an anti-woman party. This must also be seen in the light of another comment that is made by a campaign a secretary of the DMK, Dindigal Leone, who made some sexist remarks in Coimbatore about the size of the women's waist, and saying that because they are drinking the milk of foreign cows from the 8 shape, it had become a barrel, and that was considered a very, very offensive comment for which Kanimozhi in fact had to apologize. So right now, this comment and this mother sentiment, if I may put it that way, is being used politically by the AIADMK to push back the DMK, which was seeming to have the lead as far as Tamil Nadu is concerned politically, because of course they are coming after 10 years out of power, 2 terms of the AIADMK government, and at a time when Jayalalitha and Karunanidhi are not there. So the pushback is happening. The DMK sources, top people have spoken to, have admitted that this is certainly going to harm them. But the fact that they do not believe this will change the tide of the election, but they do believe it is causing some harm, and they could in fact consider asking Raja not to in fact campaign any longer. Already the Election Commission has received a complaint against him, and there is a police complaint as well against Mr. Raja.
It's election time after all, and no comment goes without a bit of a political mileage. We are going to keep a close eye on that. Thanks, Uma, for joining us with the very latest. We're going to slip into a break. More news continues on the other side. Stay tuned. All right, but let's end the bulletin with some bit of cheer perhaps, and resolve as well, if you can call it that, because clearly these farmers who've spent about 123 days at the border continue to be there. After Lodi, they're now celebrating Holi in its full spirit, but also with the resolve against the farm bills quite intact.